So this afternoon I'm with Patricia Blodge, a wellness expert I know really well down in London. And I've asked her to give us 5 particular tips which will really go and help people through this current coronavirus crisis. Patricia, over to you.
Over to me. Well, hello everyone. I'm Patricia, as obviously Stuart has said. And what I wanted to say, what's very, very important for me to say to you first and foremost is, whatever I'm going to tell you today, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of tips, please know that I'm not saying them because they're from a textbook or anything like that. These are things that I'm actually implementing in my own life, and are things that I'm doing with other people as well. So I'm not sitting here on my high horse saying that I'm absolutely brilliant at these. So it's things that it enables us to try to see how can we get better, how can we get out of this whirlwind being better people. So with that in mind, the first thing for me, the first tip that I can give anyone, and one that I'm trying to implement, and now it's actually part of my plan, my life and business plan, is acceptance. I mean, we cannot really get through this if we do not accept what is currently happening. The more we resist, the more we actually are not being able to allow our emotions and thoughts to focus onto the right things, on the things that actually really matter. Does that make sense, Stuart, so far?
Yeah, no, totally. Carry on. Totally. Cool. I can see that totally with a lot of clients. It's accepting where we are currently, understanding in terms of the reality of what's happening out there in the environment.
Awesome, because actually understanding the reality is my second tip. And that's absolutely critical, because at the moment, unfortunately, the majority of us, or how we operate, is we tend to avoid problems. And there are 3 ways in which we tend to avoid problems. Either we're not looking at the reality because we're too afraid of we're not facing it because we're too afraid of what's actually happening, or we are trying to tell ourselves that actually it's going to be fine, it's all going to go down well. It's this positivity masking, which actually is a self-protection mechanism. I'm not suggesting that not being positive is important, but being very, very aware as to, are we actually masking something, like are we masking a pain, or are we masking anything just for the sake of being positive? Because later on you will implode. And the third one is when you start to face it, but then you catastrophize, and you are basically making yourself into a fearful person, and you start to worry, and then you go into a bit of a whirlwind. So being dedicated to the reality of the situation, really, there are a couple of actually questions I would encourage anyone to think about, which is basically, and write them down, absolutely write them down. What is happening right now? What is going to happen in the future? And what's my response to it? What can I do about it? Because in this way, you're focusing your attention onto what you can actually influence. So that's my second tip. My third tip is absolutely treat yourself with compassion. And I know this is very, very difficult because we're not really used to. So what do I mean by compassion? There are 3 elements here. Kindness. So it's basically talking to yourself as if you would with someone that you actually love. Be human. What does that mean? It's basically become aware that pain, it's not going to go away. You cannot avoid it. It's part of the human, it's part of being human, if that makes sense. So allow that pain to happen. Do not resist it, because you are able to use that pain and suffering to actually grow and come out of this in a much better shape than you entered it. The third part of self-compassion is mindfulness. What do I mean by mindfulness? It's basically taking the negatives, so things are neither suppressed nor exaggerated. Yeah, so you're not really you're not exaggerating emotions, but at the same time you're allowing them to be. You're not really negating them. You're not suppressing them. I'm on my 4th at the moment, I think.
Cool. So you covered acceptance, reality, and compassion. So what's the actual 4th tip you got?
Okay, awesome. So now it's very important. Okay, so now we know this. What do we actually? I'm very much into this idea of let's do something about it. So how do we move forward from this? Is about clarifying what kind of person do I want to become through this process. What do I will want to learn from this? So for example, we are in situations at the moment where either we are at home with our kids, it's manic, it's very intense. So asking yourselves questions such as, like, in these difficult times, what would I like my family to say about me? What would I like my team to say about me? Remember that so many business owners will be possibly furloughing or laying off people, and how you actually do it, and how you can get out of this, and focusing on the idea of, okay, what kind of value can I have here? In the sense, maybe caring, or I want my team to say that I am supportive. Because when you have these things into your mind, it will automatically, to some degree, the more you understand these values, your behaviors will align to it. So I think it's very important for me to clarify here this. How do you change your behavior? Because so many people know that they should be exercising, they should be doing that, and they should be doing the other, but no one really does it. So the reason why is because the behavior is being influenced by your thoughts and by your emotions. That's why my first initial tips were very much about your thoughts and emotions. Values are, again, emotions, but they connect with what is truly important to you. So it gives you a bit of a direction rather than allowing you to be moved like like a ship in a storm. So your values help you to be anchored. My fifth tip is, okay, now plan. So plan and review. Because if now that you have these values into your, you have a clarity of values in terms of who you want to be. It might be, when it comes to your physical well-being, it might be that actually I want to be energetic. I want to have vitality. I want to be able to be more entrepreneurial, whatever it would be. Then you can start to put down, okay, how do I get this? What for me to be able to be, for example, if my family, I want my family to think that I am a loving, supporting partner and parent. What do I have to do in order to get that? That means that maybe I have to put down specifically an hour each day where I spend time with them, with no phone, no interaction, no nothing. I am there. So then you can start to plan these at the beginning of on Sunday. Ideally, you start to plan your calendar with your priorities, and that the rest falls into it. The reviewing part is at the end of every single day. When you have these values, have a think, take a journal and have a think. How did I do? What can I improve? What have I seen in myself? What did I learn about myself? And how can I get better? Does that make sense?
That is brilliant. Let me come back here on the video. Yeah, that is fantastic. So the 5 tips, just to clarify, one around acceptance, reality, compassion, who you want to become, and also making sure you've got a clear plan in place for what's going to be happening over the next weeks, months, and going forward from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the plan could be not just about who you want to be, but also specifically for your business. Crisis mode. What do I need to make happen? If I want to be supportive to my team, does that mean that I need to be able to, first thing in the morning every single day, have a 30-minute conversation with them and checking in with them and see how they are? And all of these, I'm sure you know that all of the leadership element that you're teaching, as well as the well-being, are so much interlinked.
Oh, very much so. And I'll tell you what, it reminds me of that classical formula, E times R equals O. In other words, the event, you can't alter the event which is happening to you. Yeah, the outcome, which is the O part, the only thing you can do to influence that is a response to it. Now, what I'm hearing is your 5 tips is really about creating the right response to the events which are happening currently in the external world to create the outcome which will be ideal and stuff for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Good one. Thank you, Patricia. Fantastic. Thank you for those 5 tips. And have a great day.
Yeah, you too.